listening to Cosplay Colorado, your source for cosplayer entertainment.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Cosplay Colorado. We are here with Emily, otherwise known as Glitterbomb Cosplay. Thank you for coming in. My name is Roger. I will be your host today. So how are you doing today, Emily?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing good. It's a nice day out there. I came in on my motorcycle today, and that breeze is just amazing.
Yeah.
Not as cool as I would like it to be, but it's nice so far.
We'll get there. It'll snow in like a week.
Oh yeah, or something.
Yeah.
It's Colorado. Everything can change in an instant.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let's jump right into it, shall we?
Yeah.
So one of my first questions for you: how long have you been cosplaying?
I've been cosplaying since 2013, officially, but I've made my Halloween costume since I was probably 10.
Okay.
So,
yeah, that's awesome. That's really cool. So 5 years of official cosplaying. Yeah. What's your favorite part about it?
I think the reactions more than anything, especially when, because I have the Disney princess ones, and those are always so much fun because the kids just light up immediately and are so excited.
And those actually come out really nice from what I've seen on your Instagram.
Thank you.
Those come together really good.
Yeah. There's a lot of little edits that need to be done, but they're still fun.
There's always work to be done, right?
Yeah.
And artist work is never done.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the things that I learned myself, because I'm actually a self-taught photographer and a guitarist as well. You are your harshest critic. That's one of the things that the biggest thing that I learned is you go through all of these things. You're just like, that doesn't look good, or that doesn't sound good. And everyone else is around you is like, what are you talking about?
Oh,
that is amazing.
Yeah.
But what does cosplay mean to you as a cosplayer?
Oh, that's a tough one. It's just, I don't know. It takes your passion for something to a different level. So I grew up with Sailor Moon, so Sailor Moon is everything to me. And getting to dress up as the character I obsessed over as a child is just amazing. I don't know, it means so much. I put on my wig for the first time and I started crying a little bit. I was like, I'm Usagi, it's amazing.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know, actually, I wasn't aware of how big Sailor Moon was. I know when I first started getting into anime, my mom was like, oh, you should watch Sailor Moon. And I looked at it, I was like, nah, that's not going to be something I like. And then I had a bunch of other friends, and I started doing more and more research into it, and just the cosplay community in general. And Sailor Moon is an absolutely massive community.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like it's a really awesome community.
It is. It's a really welcoming, from what I've experienced, just getting into the cosplay. It's so welcoming and inviting, and everyone's so nice, and they just want to enjoy Sailor Moon with people who also like Sailor Moon.
Yeah, and that's just cosplay in general too, right? That's one of my other questions. What is it like? Because I know you're part of the Planet Girls Denver, right? It's the one big Sailor Moon group, and it's fantastic. By the way, you guys are doing a great job. But what's it like to be a part of that cosplay group?
Oh, it's the best. We were friends first. For the most part. I met Jamie, who's our Venus, first. We met on Instagram, and our first meeting, we went to this coffee shop in Denver, and we sat and talked until they closed. I think we got there at noon, and we were there till 4 or 5 o'clock, and we didn't realize until the girl came over and was like, hey, we're closing soon, you need to leave. And it's just, that's how every single one of our hangouts is. We just talk and talk, and we get along really well.
Those are the best kind of friends, right?
Yeah.
I have a couple of friends that are like that, except not so much on the cosplay side of things. Just catching up on life kind of things. But I can completely understand that. So you guys all met through Instagram? Or?
Yeah, we did. Well, I think Fontana and JB, Fontana's our Mercury, I think they met through Meetup, actually.
Oh, okay.
Last year at Non-Descon.
Yeah.
But, the rest of us, we met through Instagram and just kind of clicked immediately.
Is that something you ever saw yourself doing, or were you thinking you would do the solo thing for a while?
No, I thought I was just going to kind of make stuff I liked and go from there.
That's awesome, And then it just blossomed into this big friendship kind of thing.
Yeah.
That is really, really cool. Are you working on any projects currently?
I am. So Non-Descon is this weekend.
Yep.
I've got Froppy from My Hero Academia working on her goggles, and Philip, my boyfriend, we're working on his Ida Tenya.
That'll be cool.
Armor, the full armor. That's intense. It's going. And then Blend S, I'm working on Micah. I'm working on Ashigo. I'm working on Megamine, it never ends.
That is a very long list. Yeah.
Yoko from Gurren Lagann, it never ends.
How do you keep it all organized?
I don't.
Just kind of go wherever.
It just kind of happens. I'll pull something out and be like, well, I guess I should work on this piece right now. And I have a whiteboard above my desk with like each costume and what needs to be done, and I'll check it off when it's done. And
so some organization.
Some, a little bit, but then they all just kind of end up everywhere. So.
Mostly anarchy, some organization.
Yeah.
I find that's the easiest way to get anything done, right? just throw everything everywhere and just remember it like a couple of days later. I'm like, oh, I was doing a thing.
Yeah.
We're
getting there.
Yeah, that sounds like a ton of work, honestly.
Yeah.
How do you find time to do all that while you're in school?
When I'm in school, it's a lot harder. Thankfully, over the summer, I've had a lot of time to just do things. But usually I give my weekends, I make sure I have weekends off. Unless there's like a big test or paper or something due, I will work on everything while I like watch TV. And,
okay. So you've got a pretty good balance going between that. That's good.
It's not too bad.
Yeah, I know for me, I'm not all that great with balancing, like, well, really just multitasking in general. I get a little confused with some things, and I'll forget one thing's happening.
Yeah.
And then somebody will come like, hey, did you finish that other thing? I'm like, I did not know that was supposed to be done already. Like right now for me, I actually work at Best Buy over in Colorado, Mexico, in Cherry Creek. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I notice about retail in general is you have to be able to multitask several things, which for me, it's a fun experience, but a very, I would say, shocking experience for other people, because I'll get started on one thing, they'll ask me to do another thing, and I'll be juggling two things, and they throw more and more on my plate, and then I forget the other things that I was supposed to do, and they're like, hey, who left these memory cards out? And I was like, they were there when I got here. So it's definitely fun. So props to you for being able to like kind of manage all of that for school and cosplay, especially with how many costumes was that? That sounded like
so many.
Yeah,
there's 4 for Nandescon, but 2 of them already finished.
Wow.
And then 4 for Dragon Con.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. What is Dragon Con? I didn't hear that.
Oh, Dragon Con it's Labor Day weekend in Atlanta. It's I think it's the biggest con on the East Coast. A lot of people will probably fight me on that, but it's just massive. It's 5 hotels, and it's just 4-day weekend of cosplay, and
that sounds
there's
awesome.
some of the best cosplayers in the country go, and it's always so cool to just walk around and look at everybody.
Yeah, I'm working on getting like business cards that way I can just go to cons and just like, hey, I'd like to talk to you on my podcast. That sounds like the place to go.
Oh, it is. It's amazing.
I keep seeing like posts about, like, again, I didn't hear about it until like this recently, like in the past year, maybe year and a half. I started seeing posts from like a bunch of cosplayers going to Dragon Con. I was like, what even is Dragon Con? But yeah, looking more and more into it, it looks like it's a big deal.
It's massive. It's so much fun. It was my first convention ever, actually. That's a lie. It was my first big convention.
What was your first convention?
My first convention was MomoCon in Atlanta, which has become a big deal. But when I went, it was one building at Georgia Tech in Georgia, which is the university. And it was just one building there, and it was so small. Trying to get through the dealer's area was like 4 classrooms, and it was the tiniest hallway cramped in with a bunch of Naruto cosplayers, because I think this is 2006. So
that sounds about right. I think for my first cosplay, my first Comic-Con, I was actually going to school out in Durango, which is the tiny little town in southwest Colorado. I love it. But it was the first Comic-Con held there ever. It was held at my college that I was going to. And it was in this tiny little ballroom. And there were like these local merchants that came in just showing off their artwork, and they had one guest cosplayer.
Oh my gosh.
And it was AZ Power Girl. I don't remember her actual name, but that's the name she goes by on social media. And she was there taking photos with everybody, and I think that was like the first time that like I go in and I see all these people dressed up, and I was like, okay, this is cool. Like, this is something that I would love to be a part of. I don't know how, but this is something that I can definitely see myself like being more involved with, and now I think I found this way of getting involved with the community. Is awesome. I'm enjoying it so far. It's a way for me to kind of get to know like local cosplayers. Because I had this conversation with some coworkers. They were asking me like why I chose cosplay as a topic for a podcast, and my answer to that, and you probably remember from I think it was like my second episode, where I was mentioning, I feel like it's an overlooked art form because that's exactly what it is an art form. Like, you guys pour your hearts and souls into this thing to build these different costumes. Yeah. And a lot of people just come up and like, hey, can I get a picture? Cool, thanks. Yeah. And that's like all the appreciation. Well, that's all a lot of people need. But for me, I really like to kind of, I like to get people talking about their passions. Yeah. Like, for me, my biggest passions are music and photography. I get started on that, and I will not stop for hours. But that's why I like to start this, is like the podcast is talking with cosplayers, because I can ask you one question about cosplay, and you can go on forever. I bet. That's one of my favorite things, is seeing that spark in somebody's eye as soon as they start talking about their passion. Goes on, and it's something I feel a lot of people don't get the opportunity to do sometimes. Yeah. Especially with a lot of big name cosplayers out there nowadays. A lot of people are like, they know of them, but they don't really have an idea around cosplay. And that's something that I would hope to bring to light with the podcast, is have cosplayers such as yourself to kind of come through and talk about who you are behind the mask, and then your experience with cosplay, which I hope I'm doing an all right job so far. All right. But one of the things that I have always been curious with any cosplayer I meet, what inspires you as a cosplayer? Like, what got you into building these costumes?
Oh, I was one of those kids that would not leave the house in regular clothes. I was always in something dress up, like a princess dress or wedding dress, something ridiculous. Yeah. And I just never left that. I grew up and had to conform to
society
dressing kind
standards.
of like a human. And
that makes sense.
I found cons, and I can go and dress up like a weirdo, and no one takes a second look at you unless they think you're amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's one of the things that I love about Comic-Con is this, you see all these crazy things. It's like you have to stop to stare for a second, and it's not frowned upon to admire somebody's artwork. It's awesome. But how do you keep motivated with that kind of stuff? Because I know with cosplay, it involves like a lot of like, I guess, involvement with like the Comic-Cons and the community and everything that's going on.
I did actually, this year before this, I did take a bit of a break because it got a little overwhelming. Yeah. So I'm from Atlanta, and the community out there, from my experience, was kind of aggressive. Not aggressive, but it was very much about the followers and Instagram, and that was probably just the people I associated with at the time. Yeah. I'm not going to say the entire Atlanta cosplay community is like that, but the people I associated with, it was very much like, oh, I have 7,000 followers. I only got 200 likes on this. And it was very much just like, I have 5 followers. Yeah. Okay, this is a thing I'm supposed to be working towards. And so it got overwhelming and just really hard. And so I had to take a break and just give myself time to get back into it, and then I moved out here, and that was the inspiration I needed, I guess.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, Colorado's definitely an awesome place. I mean, if you look out these windows right now, that is
those
a gorgeous sunset. The mountains are just... And you just moved to Colorado, right?
I did, last July.
How do you like the scenery out here?
Oh, it's fantastic.
I know it's nothing compared to like the forests and marshes of Georgia, but
I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, though, and there's nothing there.
Like the urban side of things. Yeah. I have a friend. His name's John. He lives. I don't remember where in Georgia, but he lives like right in the heart of like, the mountains. Like, have you ever seen? I think it was Atlantis, the cartoon.
Yes.
He looks like Cookie. Like, he sounds and talks just like Cookie. It is amazing. Like, he is the most southerner I have ever met, and it is amazing.
Oh, I love it.
Like, he moved to Colorado, I think, a few years ago, and when I first met him, he was like the kookiest dude I've ever met. Like, he came in, he had these really like cool like goggle sunglasses and this massive beard and a bowler hat, and he comes in, and I felt a little intimidated at first because this dude is just like, he talks and he knows what he's talking about, but then I guess that like stereotypical like Southern hospitality kicks in, and now he's one of my closest friends, and I mean, sucks to be him. He's not getting out of that anytime soon. But it's awesome. It's really cool to see people from like all over kind of like getting that inspiration to move into like something of their own community. And you said that it was like really all about the followers from like where you were from, at least with the people
I associated with at the time. Yeah.
How does it feel to be growing in that?
Oh, it's interesting. It's really weird. Yeah, I'm not used to it. But.
Yeah, I think so. How long have the Planet Girls been a thing? So I think I was like following as soon as it popped up, I think.
So we started our Instagram at Colorado Anime Fest, which was in March, I believe. But we had been friends since probably January, so
Yeah.
the beginning, so not very long.
How's that follower count looking?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane. So, funny story with that. We had gone out just to hang out. I think we went and like got our nails done and got some lunch just to hang out like outside of cosplay or things like that. Yeah. And we were sitting at lunch and we just kept getting followers.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell is happening? What is this? And it just kept going, and it hit, I think we were at 200 that day.
Yeah.
And it hit like 400, and we were like, wait, what is happening? So it turns out this photographer we had worked with posted our picture on Reddit.
Yep.
Some, I don't know, like comic website had picked it up and wrote an article on it and linked us and him.
I saw that, yeah.
It was just the weirdest, most luck, like I guess stroke of luck that could ever happen. And
I mean, that's kind of what happens when you do good work. I mean, again, like you all of you guys are just like super talented in that, and I'm hoping to interview all of you at least like one at a time, and then have two of you in here at a time just to talk about this, because at least just as the like for the cosplay group, because again, that's just to see something pop up and then get big like that and have everybody love the work you do is amazing. And I wanted to see kind of like how that feels, especially as like in an individual level, because I know for me, part of the, like, kind of like what you were saying, for me, it's a little bit about the followers, because I want to try to get my podcast out to as many people as possible. Because if I can get Colorado, or at least Denver, on some sort of map for cosplayers, then that's going to, like, I will have already considered that a win. But, like, right now, I know the biggest name in cosplay, at least in terms of like Comic-Con, is San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah. Everybody talks, everybody dreams about SDCC. Yeah. Now it's a little bit of an annoying thing, but it's like a week-long con, and the lines are like 4 days long or whatever. Yeah. And they get ridiculous. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I want to have, especially just for like the Denver community, is for people to see all these small time cosplayers getting like their following like much higher, and have that higher appreciation. We're in the day and age where I feel like a lot of people are forgetting that this is the land of opportunity, and just to kind of see a cosplayer just grow into this thing, it's amazing. Yeah. Which, by the way, congratulations! It's good work again. Like, that's all I can say about the work all of you do. Really, it's an awesome community, and I'm glad I can at least have some way to kind of associate with it. Because, like I was saying before we started the interview, I know when I first got into cosplay, or not cosplay, but cosplayers, I couldn't speak to any of the costumes. Like, my first Comic-Con, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know why all these people were dressed up as their favorite people. I was just like, this must be a thing. And then I started learning that's normal at Comic-Con, and people actually like spend like all year building up to one specific thing, or for multiple things. And I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. And then my first big con was Denver Comic-Con, when they were still calling it Denver Comic-Con, which was like 3 years ago now. Like last year, I thought. I think so. I think they changed it this year. But yeah, I went into that and I saw a bunch of people in costumes. Like, I have no idea what you're dressed up as, and I want to go talk to you about it, but I don't know what's happening. So I always kind of like put myself off of that. But then I met my fiance, and we kind of push each other to kind of go outside of our comfort zones, which is awesome, because that's how I got this idea of getting this podcast. She was always like, I was always pushing her, like, go talk to that artist, figure out, like, just ask them any question you want and get them started on that, and that's how you like kind of get out of your shell and get them out of theirs. And then I sat there and I thought about it. I was like, I'm giving her this advice and I'm not even following it. Like, I want to talk to these people, but I don't know how. And that's where I got this idea. Because again, you get someone started on their passion and just go on and on. And it's great. It's fantastic. Yeah. And I feel like that's probably, maybe I would consider a little bit of a downside with like a large social media following, is a lot of people, they don't really care about the build up. They care about the final product. Yeah. Like, a lot of like the big name cosplayers like Yaya Han or Jessica Nigri, you see a couple photos here or there like with their building process, but most of their photos get like the most likes and comments are their final product.
Yeah.
And that's something that I kind of want to bring people around to appreciate, like how much work and like the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into that, because it's not easy, is it?
No, not at all. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, I can't even begin to imagine what would happen behind that. Like, wow.
Oh yeah. So my Sailor Belle cosplay has gone through so many different little changes and switches up, because I first wore it 3 years ago at Dragon Con.
Okay.
And I didn't have a whole group back then either. But I look back on those pictures and I'm just like, I'm never going to share these again. This is garbage. This looks like straight trash. And I look at it now and there's still little things like I want to change the skirt but if I change the skirt I have to change the whole thing, because when I sewed part of the leotard up into the skirt where it shouldn't have been, and it just... So, yeah, you get to those points where you're going and everything's going great, and then you mess something up, and it's just like, now I have to keep going.
Yeah.
I can't just quit, but I want to.
Yeah. Well, good job on keeping it up. Like, that's, again, I know a lot of, like, artists in general, you get to that point where it's like, you want to call it quits, you want to stop, but then you get inspiration for something else. Yeah. Which leads me to this next question that I just kind of thought up. Would you rather be a solo cosplayer, or do you enjoy the group cosplay a lot more? Or are you indifferent?
I love both. Yeah. I love having a group because we can do ridiculous cosplays. Like, we've got, Blend S coming up, which was a meme. It's not a meme anymore, but which, it would make sense with one person, but it's more fun when you have everybody, and people tend to love it more when you have everybody. And like, being Sailor Moon is fun. I don't know that I'd ever cosplay Sailor Moon by myself though, because it's there's the 8,000th Sailor Moon I've seen today. Yeah. Where when you have the whole group, it's a lot more exciting.
It's like when you go to a Comic-Con and all you see is Deadpools.
Exactly, yeah.
It's like the most common thing, I think. Like, my fiance and I have made it a thing now. Whenever we go to Comic-Con, we try to count, like, all right, who's the most popular character this year? Let's count them.
Deadpool and Harley Quinn. All right.
Exactly, yeah. That's like, I think for next year, we're just going to not count them because it's starting to become unfair. Yeah. Like, it's ridiculous how many Deadpools and Harley Quinns out there, which nothing against them. No. They all do a lot of good work. It's just like, I don't think I can count that high.
No. I bet they're fun cosplays to do though.
Oh yeah, definitely. And that's one of the other things that I see with like a lot of people, like they want to go into one cosplay but it's too popular, or they want to go into another cosplay but they don't feel like they have the right body type or whatever. And that's one of the things that I want people to ignore. Like, who cares if somebody's done Deadpool for the millionth time? Who cares if they've done like a spin-off of like Deadpool and Spider-Man or whatever? Like, if you want to do something, go ahead and do it. That's your idea. Put your own twist to it, or don't. It's up to you.
Yeah, the best part about cosplay is that you get to be who you want to be and wear what you want to wear, and it doesn't, if anyone else is going to look down on that, they can suck it and go away. Exactly. They don't need to be part of the community.
Exactly. And that's like, you always get like those bad apples in any community.
Any community, yeah.
Which I find hilarious that there's some in the cosplay community, because so I follow a lot of cosplayers on Instagram, and you see a lot of them, and a lot of their followers are just loving everything they do. And then you get some people that are just like, oh, well, I would have done this different. Or I'd just do this, this, and this. And it's just like, okay, then go do it. Like, stop trashing somebody else's costume and go do it yourself.
Oh, I think we've had people say like, oh, I want to make you guys new fukus. Like, what's wrong with our fukus?
Yeah.
I think they're cute.
And that's one of the other things. It's like, learning, like, I know some people mean it like as a compliment, but it's just like the wording is poor. Yeah. And that was one of the things that I had to figure out, like, when I started talking with cosplayers. Like, one of the first cosplayers that I actually like spoke with was a cosplayer by the name of Ginny D. Yeah. I'm not sure if you know of her or not.
I do, yeah.
Yeah, she's amazing. And when I first like actually spoke with her, I wanted to just like say like how amazing her work was. So I did what I would have normally done with any other artist, is just like, the work you do is fantastic, keep it up, like you're doing great. Yeah. And then she responded saying, thank you very much, like, I appreciate your support. And then I realized she had a YouTube channel, like, what not to say to a cosplayer. And that was one of the things. It's like, that would be so much better if it were this way, kind of thing. Like having people like walk up, like, say they wanted to make you new things. Yeah. And like, what's wrong with the way I did it kind of thing.
I think it also depends on how a person takes it too, because like keep it up, like I wouldn't necessarily take that the wrong way. Yeah. But there are other things that are just like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Thanks.
Definitely. Like, so I know there are a lot of people like they'll try and pay a compliment to a cosplayer, like, oh, you did really good, but I think you look so much better as this person. Yeah. That's one thing that I see a lot of people like comment on someone else's page, and then cosplayers all gang up on that person, like, dude, just appreciate what they're doing. Like, they don't have to look that way. Yeah,
my favorite is, you're a great Sailor Moon, but you should cosplay this character. Like, are you going to fund that cosplay? Because otherwise it's not happening anytime
soon.
Like,
exactly. Yeah, to all like the cosplayers, like especially such as yourself and all the cosplayers in their own community, if somebody tells you to do something, make them pay for it. Yeah. Like, if you don't want to do it, but somebody says, hey, you'd look really good as this, and they say it in an offensive manner and you just disagree with everything they're saying, make them fund it.
Yeah. Give me money.
Exactly.
Cosplay's not cheap.
Exactly. Like, oh man, my fiance used to work at Joann's, and she was always telling me about like the fabrics and things that they sell. Yeah. That was expensive.
It is.
She's made me like, I think like 6 or 7 blankets, each of them costing like, thank God for employee discounts at the time, but I'm sure like at the time, if she hadn't had that discount, it would have been like $60 blankets. Yeah. And they're like 4 feet long, 5 feet long. It's like, that is crazy. Yeah. And they even have like a section just dedicated like specifically towards cosplay. I guess Yaya Han actually partnered with Joann's and has like their own setup there.
Oh yeah, I just bought her
really
phone.
Cool. Yeah, that is really cool. Yeah, that's awesome. Actually, it's good to hear. I was afraid it was going to be like something that's like super cheap with just somebody's name on it, kind of.
No,
thing.
It's really nice foam. I mean,
that's good.
You can get it cheaper on Amazon, but what can't you get cheaper on Amazon?
These days, yeah. Working retail, I would definitely say be cautious of it, but yeah, definitely. Yeah, but like, just seeing all of that work and all the time and the money that people have to pour into their costumes, it's crazy.
If there's no passion behind it, there's no point. Because I have seen people, they'll cosplay, like I've seen so many people cosplay Harley Quinn. Yeah. They don't know who Harley Quinn is or why they're doing it, but they're like, this is a popular one. People will like this. And when it gets to the point where you're obsessing over followers and likes and
it's not
the reaction,
anymore.
It's what's the point in doing it?
Exactly. Like, and that's what I love about seeing like your page and the Planet Girls page. Like, everything you post, it's nothing like, hey, follow this or go do this, subscribe to this. It's always like, here's what I'm working on, here's what I've done. And I really appreciate that. It's like it's kind of refreshing to see cosplayers like, here's what I'm working on, here's what I like to do, rather than here's what I'm working on, tell me what you want me to do next. Which, no offense to anybody who does do that. Like, if that's their way of making money, that's their way of making money. And that's probably the easiest way for them to kind of roll into that. Yeah. Which a lot of people don't realize is, again, like how much effort that actually takes with all of that.
Oh, yeah.
But what are some stereotypes about cosplay that you've heard? And how do you feel about those stereotypes?
Ooh, the attention-seeking girl is my least favorite one. Because I'm sure it does come off that way sometimes with, especially, like the Yoko cosplayers from Gurren Lagann, the booty shorts and bikini top. But there are also people who just genuinely love it and love that character. And she's dressed skimpy, but you know what? If you work out every day and you want to show that off, you should be able to show it off. And the amount of people that are just like, oh, she's attention seeking. She just wants guys to be all up on her. That's the most ridiculous thing to me. Yeah. Oh, I don't know a single girl that actually wants that.
Yeah. Like, so that's the funny thing. One thing that I actually realized, like, when I started getting more into this cosplay community is everybody that's in this, I can almost guarantee, even if they are doing it for the money, they're not doing it just to get the attention. Yeah. Like, they're doing it because they thoroughly enjoy this. Like, even like a lot of people, like, I use this cosplayer way too often as an example, but it's because she's literally like one of the biggest names in cosplay, and it's Jessica Negri. Yep. I know a lot of my friends, like even those who have no idea about anything involving anything with cosplay, the minute I mention Jessica Negri, they're like, oh, the girl with the big boobs, yeah, I know her. And it's like, okay, but like
Skimpy Pikachu, like
exactly. It's like, okay, like I get she enjoys to do those things, but you're falling for all the wrong reasons. Like, appreciate the work behind it at least. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
It's a lot, and it gets to a creepy level a lot of the times too. That just is so unnecessary.
I'm sure. Because I see a lot of the signs like posted from like other Comic Cons around the country, around the world, really, where it's like cosplay is not consent. And it's sad that they have to have those signs up. Like, it's sad that there's all those like sickos, really, that they'll just like see somebody cosplaying as someone else and just like, oh, this means I can go and grab them because that character wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Like,
they're still a person.
Yeah.
They're not the character. They didn't jump out of an anime.
Exactly. And that's something I feel like a lot of people kind of forget when they go to a con. Like, you still get a lot of people that appreciate it, but you get a lot of other people who are just like, touch.
Well, coming from the area of like glomping too, I don't know if you remember that. Glomping and yaoi paddles. I just had a whole conversation with somebody else about these. Just remembering that from cons and wanting to avoid it like the plague. I get why those exist, but even, like, I feel like those were supposed to be kind of endearing. Well, not yaoi paddles, but the glomping was meant to be endearing. But when it comes out of nowhere and you spent a couple $100 on your costume that you handmade, it's just like, don't touch me.
Yeah, I'm not familiar
Stranger,
with those terms.
I don't know you. Oh, so glomping is like a tackle hug. Like, when you run and tackle hug somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then yaoi paddles were these paddles they would sell at conventions that just said yaoi on them. And people would just, like, smack other people's butts with them just randomly at conventions, and it got to the point where someone's tailbone broke because of it.
Really?
And they stopped selling them. It completely stopped.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's intense.
Some good convention history.
Yeah, that's wow. Yeah. Like, I can understand, like, a lot of people, like, I know you just went to DPCC this year, right?
Yes, I did.
Did you see the massive Pikachu?
Oh, I feel like I probably did. Yeah, I had to.
I feel like it's there every year, and it's amazing. I don't know who it is because I never see them without the head. But it's this person that's walking around in this, like, maybe 4.5, 5 foot even tall Pikachu outfit, and it's like 2.5, maybe 3 feet wide, and it's insane. This is like the fluffiest Pikachu you've ever seen. And they're walking around, just kind of, not walking, it's waddling. It's how big it is. And it's great because a lot of people stop and they'll take pictures with it. And it looks like it's all handmade, which is even better if it is.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, even if it's not, it looks like a pain just to maneuver through the cons with massive suit. But yeah, I know for me, once I saw that Pikachu, I got really excited the first time I saw it. And I wanted to just run up to it and just grab it. Because it's Pikachu.
It is.
That was like one of my favorite things growing up was Pokemon, and it was like I had Pokemon bed sheets and pillows and all that other fun stuff. And I saw Pikachu and it was like, I'm 2 again. It was great. Who would you say is your favorite character to cosplay though? Because I know you do a lot of Sailor Moon.
I do, and I love Sailor Moon, but that wig is such a pain it just stopped being my favorite.
So did you style the wig yourself, or?
The first one I did not.
Okay.
But my most recent one, the one I'm wearing to Non-Descon, I did. It's all Arta wigs, and it's so heavy. It's just 4 feet of pigtail.
Oh man! Wow.
Yeah. It's a lot.
That sounds very heavy, actually. It'll work out your neck at that point.
Seriously. Good headache by the end of the day.
Yeah, have all that pressure on there. It's like wearing bad headphones, pretty much.
Oh, yeah.
That was one thing that I always wondered about with cosplayers is, like, the wigs. Because I know some people will, like, dye their hair and, like, style it that way. Yeah. And you get other people that'll, like, wear the wigs. How do you go about that process? Does that affect your decision making for picking out a costume?
It really should, but it doesn't because I somehow always end up picking the characters with pigtails.
Yeah.
Like Micah from Blendess has pigtails. I'm eventually going to work on an Entrapta from She-Ra who has the biggest pigtails in the world.
Wow. Okay.
So it should, but it doesn't.
That makes sense. Passion will always win. Yeah. Because I see, like, some cosplayers, like, you get those massive wigs, and it's that doesn't even look like hair. It looks like paper mache is how large that is. And it's crazy. Like, I've actually seen photos on Instagram of people, like, cosplaying like Goku. Yeah. And they'll have, like, the crazy Super Saiyan hair. Mm-hmm. It's like, how are you even able to stay balanced with that thing on?
Seriously.
It's ridiculous.
It is.
Like, I don't know. Me personally, that looks like it would probably be like the worst part of putting on a costume is the heavy wig.
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
and trying to decide, like, okay, do I need to put my dress on first and then the wig? Or, oh God, we're doing a costume change, so I have to, like, take the wig off, or I have to figure out how to get this off with the wig on. What am I going to do?
That sounds like a lengthy process in and of itself.
Oh,
really.
yeah, it is.
Oh, man, yeah, I don't know if I would be able to do cosplay. I know this year I did, like, my own costume, where it was, like, just this Halloween mask with a steampunk top hat.
Oh, cool.
That I wore to this Comic-Con. I wore it one day, and I got a small taste of what it was like to be a cosplayer that day. It felt really good, honestly. Like, I wear it every year for Halloween. It's just like, it's like a skin mask where all you see are, like, eyeballs.
Nice.
And like no nose, no mouth. It's just like bald the whole way through.
Yeah.
And then I had a top hat. I wore like a ski mask underneath so that way people can't see my actual skin or my hair or anything. This kind of adds to the effect. I wear it every year on Halloween. And every year, without fail, I always scare pretty much everybody that comes up to my house. It's fantastic. I think last year, my favorite memory so far with that costume is I had a family. I figured out that people thought I was a statue because I was sitting super still trying not to be so cold. Yeah. And so I got this brilliant idea. I'm going to stand up with the bowl of candy just like the statues do. And I'm standing as perfectly still as I can. And I had this family come up. It was this big buff dude, his wife, and his like 4 kids. One of them was dressed as Batman. And that was my favorite part, was this little kid dressed as Batman and his 3 sisters dressed as princesses. And I'm like, that's great. But they come up to the house, and little Batman just looks at me with like fear in his eyes. And I was like, oh, this is going to be great.
You scared the Batman.
I'm standing there perfectly still, and the dad's like trying to go. He's like, oh, it's just a statue. It's fine. It's fine. And the kids come up, and I just start moving my head, and little Batman just like, he stops in his tracks, and the little princess is like, they immediately turned around and kept going. And there's little Batman just there with his little bag, and he starts shaking. And the dad's like, oh, it's just a statue. It's fine. And I looked back up to the dad, and I just kind of jumped. I was like, who are you calling a statue? I would have never expected this, but he was the first one to scream. It was super high pitched. And next thing I know, he's behind a car. He was like, nope. And his wife was laughing so hard. And little Batman didn't budge. Aww. He was the only one. He was just there. He's still shaking. Like, I don't know if he was too scared or if he was like the bravest one. He was just like, candy. Oh no. Yeah. And so he comes up, and I give him a fistful of candy. I'm like, props to you, little dude. Like, that's awesome. Like, that was amazing. But that guy, I don't think, like, so it was super dark, and it's difficult to see out of that mask. Yeah. But he looked like he was like of a darker skin complexion. But then after I moved, he's like pale as Casper. It was hilarious. It was fantastic.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was probably my fondest memory of Halloween so far. And I'm only going to make it better.
Yes.
But I wear the same thing to Comic-Con, and I have still little kids that are typically like terrified of this costume coming up and just like poking, like, look at this is awesome. Like, they're appreciating it. Yep. And I was like, okay, I'm not in Halloween mode, so this feels good. Like, I love this. Yeah. If I were in Halloween mode, I'd be trying to scare people, but I'm not. Like, it's great. I had several people stop me like, hey, can we take your picture? I was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. My fiance was dressed up all in steampunk as well. We put this like really weird twist into steampunk, where we were kind of like mutated steampunk kind of thing, where she like glued cogs into her face. We're gonna try and figure out a way next year to kind of have it look like they're growing out of her face. She has a friend that does a lot of like prosthetic work, so we're gonna see if we can get her into it. But we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, we had a lot of people like, hey, can we take your picture? It's just like, sure. I had one dude, and this is like the funniest thing. One of the things that I feel like was me in my first like meeting of cosplayers. He's like, I feel like I should know who you're like costumed as. And I'm like, no, this is of my own creation. Yeah. And he was just like, are you sure? 100%. I've never seen anything like this in any cosplay or anything. Like, you've probably seen the mask in the Halloween store, but this specific getup, I doubt it. Yeah. He was just like, okay. He wasn't the first one to do that either. It was like maybe 3 people that day. I had like 5 people stop me. We were there for like 6 hours. So it was like, one person an hour. And it was a good experience, which made me want to get into it. But then I saw the effort that had to go behind that, and I was like, I'll just take pictures. Pictures are fun. But that's another thing that I think a lot of people don't realize about cosplay is you don't have to cosplay as a character. Just build your own thing, which is awesome. It is, yeah. Do you have a character or anything that you would like love to cosplay or work on as a cosplay?
Just like in general?
Yeah. I'm also going to turn on the lights.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure. I feel like I have all of them on a list that I'm working on. Like, I think the next one that I really, really want to do is Entrapta from She-Ra, and that's in the works. So maybe Arwen from Lord of the Rings.
That's awesome.
Would be a good one.
That would actually be really cool. There's one character I'm slightly familiar with. That was like, growing up, I think my biggest fandoms were Star Wars, Harry Potter, and then a little bit, very, very little bit of Lord of the Rings. Yeah. And then I started getting more into like more comic things, so I started getting more like really heavy into Marvel. And to this day, I don't care what anybody says, my favorite superhero team of all time is actually not the Avengers, it's the X-Men. And my favorite hero of all time will forever be Wolverine. Yeah. Like, Hugh Jackman in general, he was like my hero growing up, like my idol. Yeah. And like, he's probably like one of the very few celebrities where if I actually met him, I would forget how to function. Like, I don't know how people meet their idols and like function perfectly fine. No. Like, I met Paige O'Hara, who's the voice of Belle from Beauty and the Beast, at MomoCon a couple years ago, and I just cried. I couldn't do anything. Yeah. And there's Voltaire. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a musician. He did a lot of music for The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Yeah, yeah. He comes to Dragon Con every year, and he has a table, and he's always there. That's cool. Just sitting there, and you can pay him. I have not once met him. I can't do it. I walk past and I'm just like, I don't want to ruin it. I don't want him to be a jerk. Like, I don't think he is. Everyone has told me he's the nicest person in the world, but I don't want to ruin anything. Yeah. I'll stare at him from afar. There we go. Preserve the memories. That was like, this year was my first year meeting celebrities at Denver Pop Culture Con. Yeah. And I got to meet Catherine Tate, who plays Donna Noble in Doctor Who. That was by far my most favorite celebrity meetup of all time, tied with the second one that I'll tell you about here in a second. But we met Catherine Tate, and we come up, and my fiance and I were going to try and have like kind of like a space themed wedding of sorts. And I had this idea of like, let's just get Doctor Who stuff and put it by the guest book. Yeah. I didn't think she was going to go for it, but then we get up there and she tells Catherine Tate, we're going to get a bunch of pictures of our favorite characters, have you guys all sign it, we're going to have it set up there. Aww. And we only paid for the autograph. And she was like, wait, really? She was like, yeah. She was like, I'm your favorite character? I was like, one of them. That was the only words I was able to get squeezed out. She was like, I don't care, let's take pictures. Oh. And so we got to take pictures, and the whole time I'm smiling all big. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I would have never expected this. And I think I started shaking halfway up the line, and then for another hour afterwards. Yeah. Because it was just like so much adrenaline going through. Like, I couldn't believe that happened. And then the next day I met Michelle Gomez. That was mind-blowing as well. Because, like, I loved her in Doctor Who. And then, have you seen the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina? Yes. It is so good. Like,
it's amazing.
There are not enough words for me to put that would describe how great I think that show is.
Oh, it's so good.
Oh, yeah. But I met her, and I couldn't speak like at all, because the first thoughts that popped into my mind was, it's Missy. And like my fiance did all the talking. Like, she's chill as a cucumber, and she's talking with Michelle Gomez this whole time, tells her the exact same thing, and then she looks to me. She was like, do you love her? And I was like, yes, Madam Satan. That's like all the only words I could come out. She cracks this big smile, and she looks to my fiance. She's like, and do you love him? She was like, of course. She was like, good, go have space babies. Oh. It was amazing. I started laughing so hard I couldn't control myself at that point. Yeah. It was awesome. I loved meeting them, and then I went to the Q&As with them, and that was a lot of fun too. I did the Q&A for Dan Fogler, and that was awesome. Like, you actually get to talk with these celebrities at that point, like have a conversation with them, and getting to talk to somebody who's a part of the Harry Potter universe, I also may or may not have frozen.
Yeah.
Like, that was huge for me.
Yeah.
And then he gave me a comic book. He's like, yeah, bring it by my booth and I'll sign it. But I panicked because I thought they were still going to charge me when I got there, and I was like, let's just go home. Oh. So now I have a comic book at home that's not signed by Dan Fogler that I got from Dan Fogler.
Yeah.
Which I like. It's
yeah,
I haven't
awesome.
read it. I don't want to
story.
turn the pages. I'm like, I'll keep that there for now.
Yeah.
But all right, so we did get questions from a fan. It's one fan. Her name is Scientista Cosplay.
Oh, my baby.
The first question is, you know her.
Yeah,
that's
she's
awesome.
the sweetest.
Yeah, she's been supporting the podcast a lot, and I love it. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
but,
she's the nicest person I think I've met.
She's really cool.
She's so sweet.
Yeah, she's like, hey, I have a question. Like when I interviewed Steven, she was like, hey, I have a question for him, and they're like legitimate questions, like things that you would actually want to know from somebody who's in the same community.
Yeah.
Which the first one here, who is your favorite Sailor Moon villain and why?
Oh no, all of them. I always just want to say Wicked Lady because she's so good, and there's so much behind it. That's just. It makes it so much worse because it's Chibiusa, and so it makes it so much harder for them to take her down because it's Chibiusa. You've built this relationship with her, even though she is debatably one of the most annoying characters. But
sounds about right.
It's like, oh, sweet baby angel, no. Yeah. And I have to say Wicked Lady. There's so many good ones though. They're all so good. Oh yeah. Queen Beryl's the original though, and she always scared me as a kid. Like nightmares about Queen Beryl.
There's always that one bad guy that gives you nightmares.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, ironically enough, the bad guy that always kind of terrified me was the Silver Surfer.
Oh,
growing up, I don't know why, but anybody that was painted silver, I freaked out. Like it's
not natural.
No, like my mom will tell you, like we'd be walking down the street and you get those like street performers that are dressed like as robots and just all silver. And the minute they start moving, I'd freak out and I was gone. I was running. And I actually went to go visit my fiance in San Francisco because she's on a cruise right now. She came to port. And we go to visit her, and sure enough, there's a dude standing there. He's like 6.5 feet tall on a box with a bucket in front of him. And my mom's like, "Hey, let's go talk to him." And I was like, "You go ahead. I'm 23 years old. I'm gonna go the other way.
I don't have time for this."
Exactly. I'm not scared of him. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah.
But one of my friends actually he loved this guy. Mm-hmm. Like, I would have never thought he would have supported my podcast this way, but he was trying to get me an interview with, I don't remember his name. I'm terrible with names. But he voiced, I guess the character's name was Tuxedo Mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually got to talk with one of the dude who voices Tuxedo Mask and told him about my podcast and was like, yeah, he would love to interview you. It's like, well, tell him to get a hold of me through Instagram. So I did. I'm waiting for a reply, but if I were to get that, may or may not lose my mind. I don't even really know who he is, but just the fact that I get somebody that got to do that, like, please. But Scientista's next question is, you recently moved. How was the journey?
Oh, it was the worst. It was horrible. It was, God, we started Thursday. We didn't finish till Tuesday.
Wow.
And everything is still a wreck because we got in there, we started unpacking, we immediately had to start con crunch. So my life is a mess.
Still
I
in
can't
boxes.
find anything. Oh, nothing's in boxes, but it's all out. It's just everywhere.
Sounds about right. Sounds like moving.
Yeah, right.
Her next question, what ideals do you like about Sailor Moon and the friendship they all have?
Oh, the friendship more than anything. I like that it was one of the few shows when I was a kid that was focused on the friendship. There were the boys and stuff because it was the 90s and there had to be. Yeah. But the fact that it was so heavily on the girls' friendship and how they interact and every, the cliche, like, we have to do this together thing was always them. And Mamoru was there, Tuxedo Mask showed up, but I think my favorite meme is, you didn't even do anything. So it's always the girls. It was very girl power, and I think that was just such a big part of my childhood that it stuck.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I would have been able to answer that question about any of my fandoms. Maybe. We'll find out in the future, I guess. But yeah, well, thank you very much for coming over and making the drive down.
Thanks
I appreciate
for having
you.
me.
Yeah, of course. Again, I want to talk to all of you, see why you love to do what you do, and I think we got to do that today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Tell them where they can find you.
Instagram, Glitterbomb Cosplay, pretty much everything Glitterbomb Cosplay. Twitter, I think, is Glitterbomb Cos. Planet Girls Denver. I stream sometimes. I think that's Fauxcul, Fauxcul on Twitch. Yeah.
One of those. Do you have a Patreon, or does Planet Girls have a Patreon?
No, we don't. We very much stick to just funding ourselves right now, but maybe one day.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much again for coming on. Thank all of you for listening. This has been fantastic. I hope all of you had as much fun as I did. But we will see you all next time.